Judge Nicholas Ford in the Cook County Criminal Courthouse in 2008. Chicago A longtime Cook County judge and a top prosecutor repeatedly shouted at each other Monday at a tense hearing over whether a pregnant woman should have been jailed without bail for more than a month this summer. "I have every right to hold her," said Judge Nicholas Ford, a former prosecutor known for imposing tough sentences. "You do not," countered First Assistant State's Attorney Eric Sussman, his voice raised. At times, the argument grew so heated that the two talked over each other, making their comments nearly unintelligible. As Karen Padilla stood nearby with her 3-week-old daughter strapped on her chest in a carrier. Padilla, 25, was arrested in June when Chicago police pulled her over for a traffic violation and found she had a warrant for her arrest dating to February 2016 for allegedly violating probation and then failing to show up for court. At a hearing in June in the Layton Criminal Court building, Ford ordered Padilla, then more than 7 months pregnant, held without bail until her next court date 2 months later. Padilla gave birth while in custody _ horrible, stressing experience, she said. On Monday, Sussman argued that the judge violated Illinois law when he did not grant her a hearing on the probation violation within 2 weeks. Ford insisted he was within his rights, setting up an unusually combative confrontation between the old guard judge and the second-in-command to State's Attorney Kim Foxx, who was elected last year on promises of reform. Foxx has been openly skeptical of the cash bail system, particularly when defendants charged with minor nonviolent offenses languish in jail because they can't afford to post as little as a few $100s in cash. Her office has started allowing its prosecutors to recommend that some defendants be released on their own recognizance _ a move that some judges have privately criticized as improper. "Mr. Sussman, this is simple," Ford said. "No, it's not," Sussman interjected, his voice raised, and the two again began to shout over each other. "She had to give birth to her daughter in jail," said Sussman, noting that Padilla couldn't afford to pay restitution or fees as she was ordered. "This is not a debtor's prison you're running, Your Honor, and you illegally sentenced her to jail." "I didn't sentence her to anything," Ford shot back, and the two again began to argue back and forth until the judge threatened Sussman with contempt of court. Underlying criminal offenses led him to jail Padilla without bail, the judge said, whether the state wants to acknowledge it or not. Ford accused Sussman of not understanding the potential damage a felony conviction could have on Padilla's future. Over the course of the debate, Ford alluded to a new probation violation stemming from Padilla's June arrest. That petition for violation of probation was filed Monday under Foxx's name, but the line where a prosecutor's signature should go was blank. Records show the only signature on the petition appears to be Ford's. Padilla's case dates to October 2015, when she was arrested after her employer caught her pocketing cash from customers at the South Loop restaurant where she worked. According to police records, Ford gave Padilla second-chance probation, meaning her case would be dismissed entirely after 2 years if she met certain terms. But she was arrested a short time later by suburban Northfield police for speeding and driving without a license. Court records show prosecutors filed a petition for violation of probation, and when she didn't show up at a February 2016 court date, Ford issued a no-bail warrant for her arrest. She was nowhere to be found for more than 500 days, Ford said, until her arrest this June. "You are a fugitive," Ford told Padilla on Monday. At that point, Padilla's infant daughter, Inaya, began to whimper. Padilla bounced up and down gently on her feet trying to soothe her. The problems began when Padilla tried to change her address with the probation office, she told reporters after the hearing. Despite her attempts, Probation still mailed notices to Padilla's mother's house, and she didn't know she had been summoned to court until she picked up her mail there, she said. When she called her probation officer, Padilla said she was told a warrant had been issued and that she likely would be arrested if she came to court. She said, "I was like, I'm not going back to jail, so I'm just not going to report," she said. "I guess I could have just turned myself in or something, but I didn't." Police pulled her over in the heart of Chicago neighborhood on June 19 for having a cracked headlight. According to police records and the Cook County Sheriff's Office, officers found the old warrant and brought her back in front of Ford that week. While in custody, she gave birth earlier than her due date. She suspects, because of the stress. Sheriff authorities soon alerted authorities to Padilla's predicament. If she wasn't released on her own recognizance soon, the infant would have to be turned over to a relative or given to state child welfare officials. It can't be the state of affairs in this county that if you miss a court date, you lose your baby. For a month, Kara Smith, chief policy officer for the sheriff's office, said Monday, before Padilla was released from the hospital. Smith said, the case needed to go before a judge and Ford was not available, so a different judge ordered Padilla released on her own recognizance. At times during Monday's hearing, Ford seemed to hint that prosecutors were only paying such close attention to the case because of recent ABC-7 coverage. They didn't cry foul after 2 weeks. They didn't cry foul after 3 weeks. He raged from the bench. Ford said when he watched the news report, he saw footage of Padilla driving another potential crime, since she does not have a driver's license. "I watched Channel 7 News. I watched you drive a car," Ford told her Monday. "That would be the 4th violation of probation. I saw it." Ford ordered prosecutors to subpoena the news footage to see if it indeed was Padilla driving. Sussman bristled, saying that such an order may violate the principle of separation of powers. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," Ford said. "I've never been a witness to the probation violation. Maybe you should be recused," Sussman said. Ford declined, then granted the request of both Sussman and Padilla's assistant public defender and released her again on her own recognizance, with a warning that her continued freedom would depend on her behavior. Padilla said she has never had a driver's license, and while she admitted to reporters that it was her driving a car in the local news footage, she said she does not drive anymore. Instead, she said she stays in or uses ride-sharing services. She said she may try to get a loan to pay off her outstanding restitution and probation fees. "And if anything happens to her, her mother will take care of the baby," she said. Padilla said she will be fine, as long as my baby's in good hands. Visit the Chicago Tribune at www.chicagotribune.com.